So, recently I went to the Trentoniana at the Trenton Public Library, and I was looking around at the artifacts until I found this thing. Though I had an idea, I asked one of the employees there exactly what it was, and she said it was a mink stole from the 1930s, I think. I thought might as well do a little video on it, because one, there were a lot of questions about it that I had that I wanted to find out the answers to, and two, just those eyes. They were staring back at me like they were silently begging from the great beyond. Please, tell our story. Okay, they probably didn't say that, but I'm doing this anyway. With that out of the way, my name is Abby, and I will tell you about mink furs and the fur and trapping industry in New Jersey. Now, I could start with talking about the history of fur clothing in general, but we'd be here for a while, so let's stick to the history of fur fashion in America in the 20th century. Once the 20th century hit, more specifically after World War I, the popularity of fur clothing as a fashion statement was at its peak, especially among women. It was a symbol of status, and the variety of the different kinds of furs only expanded. Throughout the 1920s and 30s, the muskrat, along with the fox, mole, and squirrel, were still popular. But some of the more out there species included leopard, ocelot, seal, although seal was more associated with being worn by older women, and monkey. Monkey. Okay. Anyway, the latter species were more so used for fur trim coats rather than full-length ones, and were unisex. One particular style of unisex full-length fur coats was the raccoon coat. They were bulky and warm, and usually worn during more chill social activities, like going to an outdoor football game or just driving around. Since this was also the Prohibition era, alcohol flasks could easily be hidden under such a large coat. The US eventually became the first country to farm animals specifically for their pelts. Lamb fur during World War II was used to line pilot jackets. And soon enough, due to its affordability and warmth, lamb fur coats became popular among women, children, and especially men. Now, post-World War II was when our friend the mink became a symbol of luxury and wealth with American women. The high demand was met by selectively breeding them on mink ranches and was considered more humane than trapping them in the wild. Speaking of which, let's talk about the trapping and fur industry in New Jersey. In the 1980s, trapping, or rather the trapping of animals and selling the pelts, was a particularly flourishing industry in New Jersey then. It was pretty easy money, considering at the time, muskrats were quite plentiful. If you were hard up on money and willing to hunt and learn to skin, you've got yourself a job. The prices of muskrat furs increased quickly, since 5 years prior to the publication of the article I'm using for info, a muskrat pelt went for only $2. Like most things involving hunting, there were specific seasons to best trap these muskrats. Trapping season in New Jersey ran from November 15th to March 15th in the north, and December 1st to March 15th in the south. The trapping industry was hurt somewhat by a ban on a then common trap, the leg hold, in different counties. There were alternatives, but they were kind of pricey at the time and were a bit harder to use in comparison to the leg hold. From there, that was essentially the beginning of the end for trapping in New Jersey, with other roadblocks soon to come. And that's pretty much all I have for this video. There was a ton of other information I could have added, but I can only animate so much. With all that being said and done, I'll see you later. Maybe.